Even though tampering with Tom Brady cost us a draft pick and more of our dignity, it sounds like the Dolphins got some payback in joint practices today. Oh, it is. It is the Donno drop. That's what we're calling it now because it's going to be a multi-times weekly show. Some of the other stuff I have going on, I can't right now commit to 5 days a week. And then I kind of realized if I call it Donno Daily and I'm not actually here daily, that's just a lie. And if there's one thing that I'm not, it's a liar, at least not usually. Oh, hello to Ian from Brooklyn. Thank you so much for checking in and for being first in on the live chat. Please feel free to use the live chat, guys. It's free and it's open. As long as you have a YouTube account or a Google account, you should be able to chat with us live to your heart's content. If you do want to throw a few bucks into the tip jar, you can use the super chat, and we really appreciate any donations you guys can spare, but it's by no means a mandatory thing. You can drop in and just chat with us for free. And while you're here, whether you're watching us live on 3:02 p.m., I went live 4 minutes earlier than the scheduled start time at 3:05. But if you're here watching us live at 3:02, or if you watch us later on via the replay, doesn't matter. Smash that like button and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. This episode and all of our episodes are brought to you by BetterEdge.com, revolutionizing the sports betting space. BetterEdge.com/5Reasons is where we'll give you a $20 referral bonus, and we are brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. So on this episode, I will have the privilege of being joined by a friend of the show. I think I can call him a friend of mine. I think that's probably fair. We don't necessarily socialize, but we converse. Alan K. Fertel, who's an attorney at law, a sports and entertainment lawyer, is going to join us in roughly 7 minutes to talk about all of the fallout, some of it being unprecedented from the Brian Flores lawsuit, where that's going to go from here. And also on the Deshaun Watson suspension, was it long enough? Why wasn't it longer? So we're going to get into all of that stuff because I'm not actually a lawyer. I play one on YouTube sometimes, but we will be joined by someone who is actually a lawyer in Alan K. Fertel. But Miami Dolphins joint practices, they're preparing for the preseason opener coming up this weekend. Honestly, I think you can probably take more from the joint practice sessions that the Dolphins do than you can actually take from preseason games, because in preseason games, except maybe for that second one that's the dress rehearsal under the lights, for the most part in preseason, they keep things even closer to the vest and the starters get even less playing time. So joint practices with all of the drills that they do, in addition to the scrimmages, I think is a really good barometer of where the Dolphins are. And there is some really encouraging stuff on the defense. And we can keep it in the family here. And we can look at the awesome Twitter thread from our friends at 3 Yards Per Carry, which is part of the 5 Reasons Sports Networks. Dolphins versus Bucks joint practice. Tom Brady, frustrated all day, had 2 3-and-out sequences, and at least 3 sacks were quote-unquote called. Just in case you guys don't know what that means, they're not allowing full contact in these practices. So the referees will whistle for a sack, even if the quarterback is not completely brought to the ground. They kind of predict, hey, this would become a sack in a real game, so we're going to call it a sack and blow the play dead. And also the Dolphins had 3 batted balls against Brady. They say Brady's best work came in a 2-minute drill that ended in a field goal, had 2 sharp completions on the drive to Miller and to Tyler Johnson. The run game on both ends was stifled, especially inside. They do say the Dolphins found success on a couple of tosses to Edmonds and Mostert for good gains. I mean, we know the kind of explosiveness and speed the Dolphins get from Edmonds, and especially the speed from Raheem Mostert. And it's so nice to have Raheem Mostert healthy, fully healthy in time for training camp. It's great. Zach Sealer has remained unblockable throughout camp. They write, he's easily one of the best signings this team has ever had. Hard to get more bang for your buck. Says, yes, the Bucs have a mash unit on the interior offensive line, but that's what you're supposed to do, dominate. And then Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill have been the main focus of the offense. Both complement each other and seem to be working in tandem. Waddle's route running has added a crisp aspect to it. So there you have it. If, tampering with Tom Brady is going to get us screwed over and lose a draft pick and cause so much shame onto the Dolphins franchise, at least you can get some revenge and you can frustrate Tommy Brady in those joint practices. So that is good stuff. I know we're going to get good stuff right now as we are joined by Alan K. Fertel, partner, chair of sports and entertainment law group at Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. Have you guys added another partner since the last time I talked to you? It seems like the law firm the name is getting longer.
No, but you make me sound so good anyway, though, Alex. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. This is always my favorite time of the day. I don't have to litigate. I just got to talk sports with you.
I love it.
And I get to see nice things from your listeners. So it's good stuff. How you doing, man? You okay?
I'm doing good. It's been a few months since I've seen you. You look tanner. Have you taken like a tropical vacation since we last spoke?
I turned 63 last weekend, and I went to the beach for a couple of days. I'll admit to it. I don't do it much, but sometimes you got to put this fat body out on the beach and just whale it, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's good. It's good that you're looking very well. And man, so you're an attorney, and sports and law, they always intersect a lot, but they've been intersecting a lot lately. Not too long ago, the Dolphins, I think it's fair to say they had the hammer come down on them, right? Because unprecedented tampering penalties. They lose their first round pick for next year. What was it? A third round pick or a fourth round pick for the following year they lost. And it's from this Brian Flores lawsuit. Explain why the NFL handed down the punishment they did. And were you expecting it to be this severe for the Tom Brady and Sean Payton tampering?
Well, I don't know. You remember, we did this when this originally came out, when Flores filed this lawsuit. And I said to you at the time that this is some really shaky ground because, Ross was in a position, if proven to be true, I'm talking about paying him $100,000 for a loss, that he really could have been divested of his interest in the Dolphins. I mean, at the end of the day, the owners could have actually pulled his interest, similar to a Donald Sterling kind of thing in the NBA, bad for the league, bad for the look, the whole thing. So I'm going to say this to you. So, Mrs. Lincoln, besides the assassination, how was the play? Okay. And I'm going to say it to you like this. So Ross right now, I think, I don't know the man. Okay. But we're just, we're talking heads. So we get to talk. And you got a guy that is rich as rich can be, and he's powerful as powerful can be in Stephen Ross, and he's got gazillion dollars. And he's one of these, the rules don't apply to me guy. So he could have been knocked out of his little country club. And the country club, I'm talking about the country club of NFL owners. I'm not talking about Bushwood. You know what I'm saying? So he's still in the club. He's been suspended for six games. Now that's an interesting number. This 6-game number ties to everything. I think, you got 666 in the devil. Well, 6 games he's been canned. 6 games, and I'm moving a little bit, Watson's been canned. Mm-hmm. And there's a question as to whether or not, since Watson's lawyers were complaining that the owners weren't being treated the same way that the players were being treated, because Kraft had some little incident and nothing really happened. And, there's a couple of other owners that have been a little unsavory and done some bad stuff, and they haven't gotten the real boot like players have been getting. So we got the 6 games. So the first thing is this. I think Ross is actually, in a weird way, pleased. He's pleased on 2 grounds. The first ground is he didn't get his butt kicked out of the club for integrity of the game violation. And I think the second thing is, in his own way and his lawyer's spin way, they didn't accept the fact that he was actually offering $100,000 for a loss.
Right. And that was huge because like you were saying, if they had found something there, then that could have been the end of his ownership. Like that could have been it.
So that's why I say my little line, the Mrs. Lincoln line. There's good and there's bad. You had it right. They found that they were not guilty of tanking or intentionally losing games in 2019, or that Ross or the Dolphins had offered to pay Flores $100,000 per loss. The NFL found no evidence of that. Not the NFL found, but the arbitrator found no evidence of that, the judge. They are, however, as you said, guilty of violating the integrity of the game and tampering. Okay, so here's what you got. You had it pretty much correct. 2023, you lose a first-round draft pick. 2024, you lose a third-round draft pick. This is significant for you Dolphin fans. I know that when I come on your show, it's Dolphin-centric. So really, all you care about, and your peeps, all they care about is how does this affect the Dolphins? So it does, okay? The Dolphins, and we've talked about their inability to draft. My other line is that our grandparents could draft better than the Dolphins over the last 20 years. You always laugh. Every time I say that, you laugh. So you're an
It's
easy
always
laugh
true.
but it is true. And like I say to you, my
mom wanted to draft Justin Herbert, and I thought she was crazy, but she would have done a really good job in that drafting room.
There's a lot of people that would have done a lot better jobs over a lot of years. But right now, not right now anymore. You were sitting at 2 first-round draft picks next year. Okay, that's where you were. You were one of 5 teams, and I say I'm talking about your Dolphins. You were one of 5 teams in football that had multiple first-round draft picks. And the reason that's so important, not because you blow the draft every time, but the reason it's so damn important is if Tua really tanks, I'm not talking about tank, I'm talking about if Tua doesn't play up to his alleged abilities, there's a real groundswell of we may be tired of Tua. Okay, remember tanking for Tua? This is called tired of Tua.
I've been tired of Tua, Alan.
Well, I know that. I know you're on that wagon. Okay, me, I'm not sure yet. I'm one of those guys. I like to wait a little while. I know that we're all spur of the moment, microwave popcorn kind of McDonald's people. We need instant gratification, but really, what you got there is you got a situation where if you had 2 first-round draft picks, you could get yourself a damn good quarterback to come in here, or you can trade up for the first pick in the draft if there's someone that comes out. That's great. But I think that Dolphins are a little jaded right now with quarterbacks coming through the draft because we know who the last one was. I was in law school when they picked Dan Marino. We had hair. I had a Jufro back then. So that's what we're talking about there. So Ross was fined $1.5 million and suspended 6 games through October 17th with no league meetings in the calendar year 2022. His buddy, I can't even talk anymore with you. His buddy, Bruce Beal, tried to say that a couple of times. His buddy, Bruce Beal, who's the vice chair and a limited partner, was fined $500,000 and not permitted to attend league meetings prior to the 2023 annual meeting. The league found tampering violations, as you said, of unprecedented scope and severity. Check this one out. No prior incident of direct ownership involvement has ever been found in the NFL.
Wow.
So our boy Stephen Ross didn't do this through some flunky. He made the offer to Brady. To Brady, he made it twice, and he made it in person. Sean Payton was off, there was a coach offer was made through an intermediary, one of Ross's boys. But Brady, how we've talked about that blue thing that they have, that Michigan love. Really, that's what they were talking about. They were not talking about tampering. They were talking about their love for Michigan, okay? And what's going to happen and how much money they're going to build another library together, or the Brady Bowl or something like that in Ann Arbor. They weren't talking about Brady being a player or being in the front office. No, of course not. No one would do that because that's tampering and that's illegal under the collective bargaining agreement. And guess what happens? Well, Miami gets smacked hard. Okay, wow. Because I think you didn't. I don't think you did. I don't believe I did. Thought that it was going to be that kind of smack. If they didn't,
especially since the big thing for me, Alan, is, and I'm sure this is probably better than I do because you practice law, so you probably hear some things. I just figure tampering happens all over the place. So are the Dolphins just way worse at it, or is Stephen Ross just way worse at it? Or maybe the NFL doesn't usually dig this much, but they dug since this one was so public with the Flores lawsuit. It motivated them to kind of make the Dolphins a sacrificial lamb. Do you think that might have been the case?
I think all of the things that you just said played a part. I mean, you take any one of those 4 or 5 things, Alex, and we can have a discussion, and I would agree with you. And you put them all together, and you got a situation where my boy Fidel Goodell is going to go smack some people now. You know what I mean? He's going to show how tough he is, because right now he's not looking great. You know, you got a situation. I'm going to slide it over to Deshaun for a moment. You got a situation where a judge came in and said, yeah, this guy did some really bad stuff, but no, it wasn't aggravated. It wasn't violent. But most importantly, how can I, as a judge, give this guy a year or a year plus when you have never, ever in the history of your personal conduct policy, have you ever established anything more than 6 games? And we're talking about beating the crap out of women. We're talking about guns. We're talking about holding a gun to a woman. We're talking about smacking and you know, hurting and giving women black and blues and black eyes and things of that nature. And the NFL, you know, it's so weird the way they do it. It's give a little, take a lot. Give a little, take a lot. So 6 games is not enough. 12 games is not enough. It's got to be the entire season. And now the interesting thing is that the NFL is now appealing and has filed. Sorry about that. I really, really apologize. Are you hearing a phone as well? Or is that
No, I'm not actually.
Oh, good. Then I don't apologize.
Take the apology back.
Withdrawn. Withdrawn, Your Honor. So, you know, you got this situation where how much is going to be enough? I think everybody pretty much thinks that Deshaun is really a horrible person. Okay, I don't. Okay, I have a daughter and stuff like that. Massage places are massage places, et cetera, money grabs are money grabs. I'm not saying he didn't do something that was impermissible. I'm not defending, but this is life and this is reality. And once one person files a suit, you get a lot of copycat suits. And I'm sure that many of them were not as accurate as maybe 1 or 2 of them were. I know this guy's got an issue and maybe he shouldn't ever go to a massage parlor for the rest of his life. He's got enough money to do almost anything he wants in that regard. But, you know, if that's his Jones, that's his Jones. I'm not going to say anything about, you know, Kraft going to a massage parlor. I mean, these things happen. These are men and they do things, and I'm not going to defend them. But at the same time, you got the NFL appealing, which is their right under the collective bargaining agreement. But the best part of it is it goes right back to Fidel Goodell. The way the collective bargaining agreement says that he is the final arbiter of all appeals. Well, our boy Goodell did something really smart for a change.
Oh,
he really did, and I'm really proud of him. He deflected. He took himself out of it.
Yeah.
And put the former attorney general for the state of New Jersey as the final arbiter. And that was so smart of him because he was in a lose-lose situation. If he was then going to go in after they all agree upon a former judge who's really a good judge. I mean, nobody has something bad to say. Both picked her. She was picked, you know, it wasn't forced upon anybody. That was a pick. And she came up with this analysis over the penalties that the NFL has you know, enforced over the years, and it was mild. And now they're looking for 3 times that or more. And
is that a PR move by Goodell? Because maybe like because this is the way that I look at Alan. I don't think he really expects to or even cares if he wins the appeal. I just think he wants to look like, oh, I think what this guy did was terrible, and I want him to be punished more for it. So I think it's a PR move.
You know, I abuse him and call him Fidel. And, you know, I have names for everybody, but he's very, very smart. He's not making 40 mil because he's a moron. He acts like a moron sometimes, but he's making $40 million, and he spends half of his time shining that shield with a little nice towel and Windex or whatever he uses to shine that
if
shield.
you could make $40 million for being a moron, I'd be a trillionaire.
My friend, I'd be more a moron than I am now if that was the case. But he was smart. I think it was PR. I think it was listen. The NFL needs a little love from the how do we say it? Alternate fan base, for lack of a better term. The women are not your number one targets, but there are a lot of women that are now buying. Merchandise and buying jerseys and coming to games, and it's a lot more fashionable than it used to be. So for the NFL to turn around and say, this is horrible, 6 games or nothing, it's not even a slap on the wrist. That's all. I gave that to Ross. That's nothing. We're talking about nothing here or whatever. He's right. Now, the better move, though, was him not being the arbiter. Because if he made himself the arbiter like he did with Brady, he's going to be subject to all sorts of criticism. Now he stepped back, put somebody else in his choice. And this guy works for the NFL. He's on NFL committees and things of that nature. So we've got a situation here where Fertel was good. He backed off. You're going to go into this situation a little cleaner. It's going to come out a little cleaner. And Fertel isn't going to be dirtied by it. Now, what's going to happen? I can't tell you what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to give him a 12 game. I don't know if they're going to give him a full year. He probably deserves a full year if he's guilty of what he's alleged to have done. But then we go back to this problem of court of public opinion versus court of law. And that's where that's where I live my life. You've got the court of public opinion, which kills you immediately. It just destroys you. Like I talk about McDonald's and microwave popcorn instantaneously. As soon as the allegation is made, you're done. Court of public opinion. Everybody wants a comment. Everybody wants to know what's your feeling. Everybody tells you what's going to happen, and they roast the crap out of the guy no matter what. And then you've got either a court of administrative court, which is different than a court of law. But then you got the court of law where there's a presumption of innocence, and the state has to prove the allegations. No one's proved anything against Deshaun. He's settled a number of cases. He said he didn't do it. He's never publicly accepted responsibility for everything. But there's a lot of people out there that were suing him. And then they sued the Texans as well, and that's a problem too, because now the NFL is getting sued. So you take Fertel out of it, you put another guy in there, you make him rule, and then Fertel will just, issue the punishment. It's not going to be less than 6. We know that. So he's sitting, and either you got, Josh Rosen is now your backup quarterback. That's interesting. Brissett is going to be your starter, but Josh Rosen is holding the clipboard.
It's frightening.
Oh, we had him for a little bit. We had a cup of coffee here. I liked him. I liked him when he was at UCLA. I thought he was a good quarterback, man. He and Sam Darnold were out there chucking it against each other. They were pretty good back then. Anyway, so we go back to our boy Fertel. I think it was a publicity stunt because it always is, because the court of public opinion controls a lot of the NFL sponsors, etc. And you know what I always go back to? The NFL is different now. The NFL has sponsors that are gambling agencies, okay? Gambling, okay? So there's a situation where you gotta be honest. There's gotta be integrity to the game, because your big sponsors are worried if you're not transparent, if you're not truthful, if you're not giving real information, if you're hiding things. That's a problem, especially for the gamblers. And you know that this world right now is so heavy on the gambling.
You're looking at one of them.
No, I know. And I don't, because my daddy, may he rest in peace, used to own harness racing horses. And he lost a really, really bad daily double and got a heart attack. And he lived for a number of years afterwards. But I said to myself, this gambling thing's not that smart. No disrespect to you, Al. I know.
No, none taken. I understand. I feel like a lot of smokers out there know that that's not good for you. I think a lot of gamblers know that's not necessarily good for you.
Look, man, I know stress is not good for me, and I am one of the most stressed out guys in the world. I mean, I don't act stressed out with you, but when we're talking, multi-million-dollar cases and clients and things like that, there's a little bit of stress in my world, But my real point here is this. You got so many stories going on right now. Now is like a delight to be like a sports lawyer. You got Flores and Ross. You got Deshaun. You got Brittany Griner. You got Pete Rose. You got Iman Shumpert bringing 6 ounces of weed through an airport. And then you got the Live Golf Tour today. They got the injunction denied, so 3 of the guys can't play in the FedEx Cup. So for me, it's just a hodgepodge of all sorts of good stuff to talk about, good stuff to discuss. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's not just football, but football's got 2 pretty big stories, man. When you go with the Ross Flores story as your number 1, and you go with Deshaun as your number 2, you could keep a lawyer busy on just that.
Well, I wanted to ask you one more thing before we let you run, because like you talked about Deshaun's 6-game suspension and, the precedent for personal conduct policy. And I know that like different violations of various NFL rules are treated differently. What do you say, though, to the people who get really mad that like players have been suspended a lot longer in the past for drug violations, even marijuana, which they've eased up on that. But in the past, we've had people lose years of their career for marijuana. And then, someone who, again, accusations only gets 6 games. Do you think there needs to be more consistency?
It's so hard to be consistent because the facts control the actions, which control the damages, which control the penalty. Okay? I'm going to go back to something that I thought about the other day, and I don't know why. Why, after Ray Rice punched his fiance girlfriend and knocked her down in the elevator, in the beginning they didn't give him they didn't violate him. I think it was 2 games they gave him originally, and then once the video comes out, they just, his career is over. Yeah. And you've never heard anything again from Ray Rice. That's a 1 punch and done. Okay, so the reason I bring that up is I'm answering your question. This is not a science. It's not exact. Law usually isn't a science. So trying cases is not a science. Some say it's an art, some say it's not, but it's not science. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2, or this experiment, E = MC squared, or whatever the hell we're talking about. There's a lot of different factors that go into all of these decisions that are made. There's a lot of emotions. If it's drugs, it's one thing. If it's domestic violence, it's another. If it's a weapon, it's another. I mean, it's hard to be consistent. But then again, there's this issue out there, and that is that the league is not, they are not prosecutors. The league is not a prosecutorial entity. It's an organization. It's got rules, it's got regulations, it's got penalties. There are stuff, but never has it been, if you do this, you get this. If you do that, you get that. But then this is still a work in progress. And every collective bargaining agreement, I believe, will make this process a little bit better. I think that the NFL got the better of it over the last few years. More recently, with Smith, they've held their own. But prior to Marcus Smith, they weren't doing very well on their negotiating of the collective bargaining agreement. And I'm not going to name names. It's just this. That's just a fact. The NFL was always ahead of the the NFLPA. Now it's sort of different. There's once you got a guy like Ross getting smacked really good, once you got a guy like Kraft getting it pretty good, and Ursay from the Colts got a little bit. It's changing. So the short answer is it's evolving. I think it's getting better. I like the fact that Fertel isn't the ultimate arbiter on the Watson case. I think that adds credibility to it. I like the fact that they got a really good judge to come in and analyze their ineffective prior violations policy. They sort of got it jammed up theirs a little bit, because if they would have been, if the NFL would have been a little bit more stern and given out more significant violations or more significant punishment, then she would have had the arsenal to give Watson a more significant penalty. So I think they got caught hoisted on their own petard is sort of the phrase that comes to mind. But it's going to get better. The light's shining very brightly on a lot of this player development and player behavior and things of that nature. So, and of course, social media and videos and things have come that never were there before. And going back to Ray Rice, look at the difference. When you didn't see the video, it was a 2-game suspension. When you saw the video, the guy never played again. That's significant. Back in the day when I was young, it was he said, she said.
Yeah.
Now it's my video versus your video. Videos are evidence. If they're not tampered with, they come in and they're used and they show what really happened. And that's why I don't understand so many athletes posting the most ridiculous stuff that actually gets them into trouble. But that's what society does. You see, we blame it on athletes, and I do it as well. But really, it's a societal issue, just like this domestic violence is societal, just like violating corporate policies is societal. It's just that we got a guy who's Stephen Ross, and he's got a little Trump in him, and he's got a little, and I'm not political on that. I'm just saying it. What I mean by that is the rules don't concern me.
Mm-hmm.
I am above the rules.
I'm scared to death of the rules, all of them.
Well, I live inside a rule book. I mean,
yeah,
both positive and negative. I need to know what the rules are to know how to violate them. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that honestly. But at the same time, I need to know what the rules are to stay within the gutters, to stay within the middle, stay in your lane, bro, kind of thing. So rules are important. Some people say rules are made to be broken. It's okay. When people break rules, they need Alan Fertel as their lawyer. That works. But Alex, I love coming on your show. I love talking sports with you. I heard you for a while when you were doing some QAM in the mornings. I really enjoyed that. I miss you on the fossil radio. But I got to tell you, I enjoy coming on and talking to your extremely crazy Dolphin fans. You are Dolphin centric. And I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful sports year. My Giants don't look good. Your Dolphins are looking better than my Giants. Yeah. I'm just telling you, Tua, I think he's got it. I know you don't.
Okay. Well, no, I kid. I'm really, I'm like you. I'm on the fence, but I kid because I find that one of the best ways to push people's buttons is if you say anything negative about Tua, his fans just go nuts. So if for the record, I think about Tua the same way Alan does. I'm on the fence, but he's got the weapons now to succeed.
And I saw that guy. I mean, my eyes don't. Well, they lie to me sometimes, depending on who I'm looking at. But I saw him come in games and play out of his mind. I saw passes that were incredible, whether they would be in a college stadium or whether it be in a pro stadium. The passes were just great. Yeah, he might have had a little extra time. Yeah, he might have had some great receivers, but look at who he's chucking the rock to now, man. Look at who this guy is chucking the rock to. He's got 3 excellent receivers. That's crazy. We're talking like, I don't know. I don't want to get all crazy, but, are we talking Clayton? Are we talking Duper? I don't want to say Joe Rose. I don't know if Joe Rose was in there. Who was the tight end for those guys? I don't even remember who the tight end was for them. But this 3 right now, oh my.
Yeah. I
mean, it's chuck the rock and let them run, man. and quarterbacks really like that because you take your three-step drop and you chuck it as far as you can. You ain't getting hit so fast, on a 3-step drop. You stay back there 7 steps. You're fair game, and he's not a big boy. your little lefty is a little frail.
He sure is. Well, listen, I appreciate your time so much, and I know that our viewers appreciate your time. He is Alan K. Fertel, attorney at law. He is partner and chair of Sports, Arts, and Entertainment Law Group, Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. Alan, be well. Keep rocking that tan of yours, and happy belated 63rd, because you mentioned that at the top. You recently celebrated. I hope it was an awesome celebration.
It was, and you know what, man? All I can tell you is life doesn't suck. You get to talk sports, and you're a happy guy. I get to practice law and litigate some big cases, but I also get to represent athletes, and it's fun when 5 or 6 of the things that are going on in your world, you can talk about to your buds. You can talk about and make a little money. You can talk about on the radio. You can talk about on a podcast, and you can tell that I sort of like to talk. So thanks for the opportunity, Al. It's always a pleasure to come up on your show. And I'm here whenever you need a talking head to talk about sports with you, man.
And we will again, I'm sure. And I love people who love to talk. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, my man.
I love it. How awesome is Alan? Oh, man. Guys, you want to make sure you are supporting our awesome sponsors. Prize Picks. Prize Picks is #1 in the daily fantasy space. You've probably seen the billboards. You've heard us and seen us on the 5 Reasons Sports Network talking about Prize Picks. It's so easy to sign up first and foremost. And folks, I mean, you can even play preseason NFL games. It's actually more fun than you think playing daily fantasy on preseason games. Then, of course, the regular season is right around the corner. So log on to prizepicks.com or use the Prize Picks mobile app, which is a free app, very easy to download. If you're on your mobile phone a lot, probably the app is a little bit easier than the website itself. But folks, use our code 5, that's FIVE, when you make your first deposit, and they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. How good is that? At Prize Picks, it's you versus the numbers. You simply select 2, 3, or 4 players and predict if they're going to go over or under their fantasy projections. And if you get your predictions correct, you win money. You can win 10 times your money for getting 4 predictions correct. You can double your money on 2 predictions. Prize Picks combines my love for fantasy and my love for parlays, and also my love for instant gratification. I'm one of those McDonald's people that Alan K. Fertel was talking. I don't necessarily eat at McDonald's every day, but I love the whole fast food, instant gratification. You don't have to wait months to go through a season-long league. Prize Picks, it's there. Boom, 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 you're done. It takes under 60 seconds to make your selections, by the way. I do it in like 20 seconds sometimes. So make sure you use our code 5, FIVE, to double your first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. And guys, we have an awesome sports betting sponsor. They are changing the way you bet on sports. BetterEdge.com. Do you see that on the crawl below? BetterEdge.com/5 reasons. Sign up at BetterEdge.com/5 reasons. When you use our special referral link below, they are going to give you a $20 referral bonus just for signing up. Here's what makes Better Edge different from traditional sports books or those offshore sports books. First of all, there's no fees. You're not giving the casino, because there is no casino, you're not giving them any juice. You're not betting at -110, -120, and not winning your full bet back. BetterEdge.com is a social platform, and that's also why Better Edge is legal. Fully legal in 45 states in this great country of ours, including Florida. Fully legal in Florida. This is not an offshore thing. You don't have to worry about, making your payment to China and then, having trouble getting any of your money out. Nothing like that, guys. Fully legal in the state of Florida, because at Better Edge, you are betting against a real person. You find someone at the other side of your number. If you like Marlins, +4.5, and you want to find someone at the other end of that, they're going to take your action, and it's you versus that person. It really is changing the game. So if you want to check it out, get a feel for the site, go to betteredge.com, BETTOR edge.com. It's a pun. So check it out, betteredge.com. Use our special referral link, betteredge.com/5 reasons, and they're going to give you a $20 gift just for signing up. So check it out. A lot of you have tried it and you have enjoyed it. Let's see. I heard the spicy chicken sandwich from McDonald's is better than Chick-fil-A. You know, I had the Chick-fil-A spicy sandwich yesterday. It was very good. So are you telling me I could have gotten a better one at McDonald's yesterday? My son always does this. He's 4 years old, but he drives me crazy. We're like, I was with him. It was just the boys yesterday, is what we say. We went out to see the movie where it's like Superman's dog Superman's dog and all the other super pets, whatever. And then I took him out to Chick-fil-A because he was desperate for Chick-fil-A. So I buy my son Chick-fil-A. He takes like 2 bites and he's not hungry anymore. It's like, I just got you Chick-fil-A. You didn't even want it now. Crazy. You're telling me I could have gotten an even better spicy sandwich at McDonald's? I'm not sure I believe it. I am not sure. Oh, Mr. AC Milan. Can I bet on Milan being Inter's daddy? You might lose that bet because I'll be on the other end of it. But yeah, maybe. Oh, man. When you bet, you always fade the mush, says Brooklyn Rob. I also saw Brooklyn Rob making a comment about how, like, I secretly hate Tua, even though I say that I'm on the fence. I don't even know what to believe anymore, Brooklyn Rob. I don't know what you believe. You can believe whatever you want. And I did eat Luca's leftovers. I'm still down over 60 pounds, but I'm trying to gain it back on those Chick-fil-A leftovers. No question about it. Hello to Tony 2 times from the 808. Good to see the show again. He says, what's the format now? So we're going to be doing at least twice a week. I can't do, that's why we're calling it now Donno Drop. And the reason why I picked the name Donno Drop is DD. I don't have to change our show graphics. Hold on. Can you see this? There, because we already have the DD from Donno Daily. If I were to completely change the name, I've got to hire a new graphics team because the graphics guy who made the original graphic, he hasn't worked with me for over a year now, or like right about a year. So I don't want to hire a new graphics. I'm just going to keep using the same graphics. So it's got to be DD. So from Donno Daily to Donno Drop, we're going to be usually doing Mondays and Thursdays. I know it's Wednesday today, but I could do Monday because I was out of town. So we're doing Wednesday and Thursday this week. So thank you so much for catching it in. And yeah, we'll drop it when we can. Hello to Lewis Sung Sr. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello to Cap for Life, the man, the myth, the legend. Hello to David, who says we should just call the show The Mush. But again, I would need new graphics for that if we were going to call it The Mush. So we have to be from Donno Daily. We go to Donno Drop. Rave reviews for our guest, Alan K. Fertel, attorney at law. He was awesome. And thank you for giving him a good review there, Doug E. Fresh. Who else we got? I want to throw as many shout outs as we can. Oh, thank you so much, Alex M. for the super chat. Says fantasy football league name. Drop it to the floor. That's not bad. Usually the name that I use for my fantasy teams is the Pittsburgh Feelers. That's usually the name that I use. Just throwing that out there. I think I may have stopped using that one recently. But, I thought it was a good pun. I heard that one years ago. Hello, Vent. Says free Stephen Ross. Oh, man. He also said this about Brian Flores. Should have never hired that Belichick product. I mean, Flo, he's living out a great revenge. Whether you agree with Flo's accusations or you think, hey, this is petty, this is BS, I never liked Flo. No matter how you feel about Flo, you have to admit he is a very successful bitter ex. Because if you feel like you are wronged in a relationship and you become the ex, don't you want revenge? And Brian Flores, he sought and achieved revenge. Like the Dolphins have lost a first-round draft pick because of his allegations and accusations, which, apparently were proven true enough to take a first-round pick and a future third-round pick away. So that is called being a successful ex. So, I mean, yeah, got to hand it to him for that. Hello, Trevor, a.k.a. TH from the 203. Thank you so much for tuning in. My guy, Joseph Rodriguez, thank you. I don't know if he's been in the chat today, but I got to send a huge thank you to one of our viewers, Adrian G. He actually, I'm not wearing it today because I left it in my car, but I'm going to wear it hopefully on tomorrow's episode. He actually made me a hat like this one, like the Peaky Blinders style hat that I'm wearing. but it's white and it's got a Dolphins logo on it. It's really awesome. I wish I was wearing it right now. I will be wearing it on tomorrow's episode. So thank you so much, man. That was a really cool move. Apparently he makes things, and he makes things very well. And he sent me one of these hats. I love it. I absolutely freaking love it. All right, let's see. Another shout out. Ian from Brooklyn. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, I got to run. I got to take my son to swimming class, and then I'll probably take him out to a meal that he's going to eat 2 bites of, like usual. Hello to Perfect Q. Thank you so much. If the Dolphins lose a couple of picks, that is not success. Flores wanted tanking. Still though, I get it. Like he wanted, like basically for Flores to be happy, he would have made Stephen Ross lose his team, and maybe would have, like, it would have been so bad that the Dolphins were forced to move to London or something. Like, I guess that would have been real victory because he wanted to burn our franchise to the ground. But I still think getting unprecedented tampering penalties, I still would consider that to be a win for the Vengeful X. Hello to GA Kane fan. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, guys, make sure you support Prize Picks. Oh, I'm getting a call from Spam Risk. I hate these people. My good friend Spam Risk. All right, we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow on another episode of the Donno Drop right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See